Hi everyone and welcome to Theme Park Worldwide. Now last week I shared with you all my top 10 best roller coasters from all around the world. So I thought this week I'd share with you all something completely different. That's my top 10 bucket list coasters. This is something that I've never done before on the channel and I thought why not 2021, let's talk about the rides that I really want to get on and experience. Now some of these coasters have been out there for years, I've just not had the chance to go and ride them. And also some of them are opening in 2021. So of course the opportunity hasn't become available yet to ride them. However, as soon as it does, fingers crossed, you can get out there and experience them. So let's start off then here in 10th place with a ride called T-Express, which is located at Everland in South Korea. Now I actually loved watching the construction of this coaster throughout 2007. It opened in 2008 and it's an Intamin prefabricated coaster and it looks absolutely fantastic. Now it's actually the world's fourth steepest wooden roller coaster and it's built onto the hillside, and that's why it was such an interesting one to watch the construction of. Now with it being over in South Korea, there wasn't actually that many places to get construction updates for this, but whenever they were coming out it was great to look at them and really enjoy them, so I followed it quite extensively, as much as I could do anyway, for T-Express. From watching POVs, off-ride footage, this looks like an absolutely fantastic ride. I'm a big fan of Intamin wooden coasters, especially their prefabs like Boulder at Liseberg in Sweden. That's a fantastic ride that opened prior to this one. And this just looks incredible. The layout, the length of it as well is fantastic. It's a big ride and just the overall sort of feel of it in the woods, built on a hillside. It just looks like a great park, Everland. It's somewhere that I really want to get to at some point and experience over in South Korea. Now with it being built on a hillside, the ride's around 55 meters tall. That's 183 feet. However, it's hard to tell really because it being on this hillside, it kind of looks a lot taller in some areas. But I tell you what, just the look of this ride certainly looks fantastic, and I hope to get out there and experience it at some point in the future. Looks like some great drops, airtime, and just an overall mix of fantastic elements in a great location. You know me, it's not always about what the ride does, but also about where it's built, and on a hillside, in the trees, just looks the part for me with this one. In 9th place then, it's Mindbender, which is located at Galaxyland in Canada. Now this is a 1985 Schwarzkopf looping coaster inside a shopping mall, and this looks awesome. I mean, there's not many of them sort of parks out there in Europe that are indoors and especially joined onto shopping centres. However, this looks fantastic. I'd really like to get out there and experience this in Canada at some point. The whole park looks great, but with me being a big fan of classic Schwarzkopf coasters, and with this opening back in 1985 and still looking to be absolutely fantastic and pretty much in a pristine condition from what I can see. I imagine that's partially helped with it being inside as well. It's protected from the elements. But with my love for these Schwarzkopf coasters, really want to get on this, reach a top speed of up to 60 miles an hour. 5.2 G can be experienced on this. It's a very intense ride. From people that have been on it, they said it's brilliant, really intense. And like a lot of Schwarzkopf coasters are, you know, you've got to look at Olympia Looping. That's intense, but it's also really smooth, especially for its age. But love to get on this at some point. 3 loops on here, and the fact that it's inside as well, you're kind of going right up into the roofing structure of this big building that it's in. And that just really appeals to me. I like indoor coasters. It's protected from the elements, and just this part looks fantastic. Just the overall layout of it. Looks like there's some great pathways that kind of go all around the coaster as well to get some brilliant views of it. So at some point, really want to get on Mindbender. It's been a bucket list of mine for quite a few years actually. I first saw it in a book when I was a kid, like a roller coaster book. This is before the internet really started taking off. But yeah, I saw it in a book and thought, oh, look at that. How can it be inside? I mean, the building must be massive. And it is massive, but that's what kind of makes this one. So 9th place, Mindbender at Galaxyland. Into 8th place then now, and this is Boulder Dash, which is located at Lake Compounce in the United States of America. Now this opened in year 2000, so it's an older ride. It's a Custom Coasters International CCI wooden roller coaster. What looks awesome about this is how it's a bit of a terrain coaster, and the lift hill just kind of disappears up into this mountainside that the coaster's built onto. You know me, I love a good terrain ride, and this looks awesome. The fact it's a wooden coaster, it kind of disappears the lift hill up into the trees, and then you just see other elements of the ride just appearing every so often out of the trees. that is my sort of ride. Now, Boulder Dash has been known to be one of the best wooden roller coasters in the world for a long time. Lake Compounce is somewhere that I really want to get to at some point in the future. On the USA road trip, we just couldn't fit it in, unfortunately, but next time I do something like that, to fit this park in is a must for me. Really want to get there and experience Boulder Dash. Now, so much of it's hidden away. However, there's 1,440 meters, that's 4,725 feet of track up there on this mountain, and it also reaches a top speed of 60 miles an hour as well. So that's Boulder Dash, one that I really want to get on. I'm sure there's quite a few people watching this video who've experienced that ride, so fingers crossed I can join you and experience that at some point in the future. I really want to get on there and give it a go. In 7th place then, it's Hakugai, which is located at Nagashima Spa Land in Japan. Now, Hakugai opened in 2019. This is an RMC coaster that replaced their former Intamin wooden coaster, White Cyclone. Now, of course, RMC go in, they transform former wooden coasters into these hybrids and make them into absolutely fantastic rides. And this looks great. RMC are an amazing manufacturer for me. I love their rides. I love what they do to older wooden coasters, especially ones that really need a refurbishment. Not the classics, but you know, unless they're really rough and horrible. But with this, you know, it looks like it was a poor ride before and they've gone in and transformed it. Now, Hakugai is Japanese for white whale, so that's really the name of this ride. Features 3 inversions. One of those is one of my all-time favourite RMC elements. That is a zero-G stall. Absolutely love that because of, you know, you're hanging upside down, but you go with it with quite some speed as well. And with how RMC trains are designed, with just like the lap bar restraints, you know, that's a fantastic element for me, a zero-G stall. One of my all-time favourites inversions, actually. Along with that, it's 54 metres tall. That's 180 feet and reaches a top speed of 66 miles an hour. Like I say, it looks fantastic. It's got a real nice colour scheme to it as well, with all the white support structure and the blue track. It just looks really nice and a bucket list coaster for me. Quite a new one to be added into my top 10 bucket list. Like I say, it only opened 2 years ago, 2019. However, it's right in there as one that I want to get on at some point. In 6th place then, we're onto a ride that hasn't yet opened but isn't too far away from opening, and that is Iron Gwazi, located at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay in Florida in the United States of America. Now this is opening at some point in 2021. Again, it's an RMC hybrid coaster and a transformation of a former wooden roller coaster. That was Gwazi. It was 2 coasters that, you know, weren't that enjoyable. They weren't ridiculously rough in my opinion, but they certainly weren't smooth. You know, they were kind of borderline getting to painful on there. So yeah, you know, they've transformed it from 2 coasters into 1. They've made it 1 long layout and it looks great. It's action packed and it looks stunning. It's 62 meters, that's 206 feet tall. It's got 2 inversions on there, so it's not ridiculously high on the inversions. When you look at something like Untamed at Wallaby Holland in Europe, that's got 4, but it doesn't look like it's going to be all about that. There looks like some great airtime, some fantastic drops and other elements mixed into this ride. I really like the train design for this as well, a little bit different to what we're used to with roller coaster trains. And of course, it's going to reach a top speed of 76 miles an hour and feature lots of airtime as well. So yeah, that's a big bucket list coaster. Fingers crossed, might get on it at some point this year. And you know, that leads me on to say, I don't know when I'm going to get on all of these top 10 in my bucket list, but at some point out there, I'd like to think at some point in my life I can get to these parks and go and experience them. Right then, so we're halfway there and we're moving on to 5th place then now, and this is the Hyper Coaster as it's called. Now, I'm not a fan of the name. They're literally going with, you know, the type of ride that it is, a hyper coaster, but still it wouldn't put me off going to ride it because the coaster itself looks incredible. Why a theme park who's installing such a beautiful ride would go and call it just Hyper Coaster, I don't know, but they have done. This is at Land of Legends, which is in Turkey, and this looks fantastic. Now, it's worth pointing out that it is a clone of Flash, which is located at Lara Adventure in China. However, this certainly looks fantastic. It doesn't put me off with the name or the fact it's a clone. I'd like to go and ride it. There's more chances of going to ride it at Turkey than going to ride it at a park in China at the moment. So, you know, I'd like to go and do this at some point in the next couple of years, maybe even this year if the opportunity came up. But what's quite special about this is is it's got an absolutely huge loop on there, a 49-meter tall loop, that's 160 feet. It's also got a zero-G roll on there as well. So yeah, it's got two inversions. It's a hypercoaster, meaning it's just over 200 feet. However, it's got them two inversions, including that epic loop, which looks fantastic. Along with that as well, it looks like the first drop's incredible, 57 meters, that's 190 feet. Like I say, the coaster itself is 60 meters tall, that's 200 feet, and it reaches a top speed of 71 miles an hour. Really want to get onto this. I love Mack rides. I love what they do. It looks like he's got some great airtime hills and transitions on this as well. And I really enjoyed the Mack train design. You're nice and open with how it's designed with the lap bars. So hoping to get on that at some point. It's Hypercoaster at Land of Legends. What a name for it, eh? It's quite funny, isn't it? In fourth place then, this is another new ride that's opening in 2021. And this is Conda at Walibi Belgium, recently named. Before we were just calling it the Walibi Belgium Mega Coaster. We now know it's called Conda, and this looks absolutely awesome. Intamin Mega Coaster, the tallest, fastest roller coaster in the Benelux. Of course, that's Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. 50 meters tall, that's 164 feet. It's got lots of airtime from looking at it, from the footage that we've seen. We're yet to see a full POV, but we've seen a lot of exactly what we can experience from this ride. Now, along with that as well, it's got a non-inverting Cobra roll that certainly looks interesting. It's the first one of those to be done, so I'm looking forward to experiencing that. And also, you know me, I love my theming, and the trains for this are incredible. For Conda, that overall theme of this looks brilliant, and the overall area that they're putting in, it's a brand new themed area. They've cleared some trees basically to make way for this. It's not replaced anything else that was in the park. Brand new themed area, so it should all look really fresh. New facilities, new buildings, and of course this huge mega coaster that looks absolutely awesome. So I'm looking forward to this. Should be a really heavily themed ride, and it's definitely in there at fourth place on my bucket list out of them top 10 bucket list coasters. Right then, so we're down to the final three then now, and in third place, it's Steel Dragon 2000, which is located at Nagashima Sparland in Japan. Now, of course, earlier on in the bucket list countdown, we also had a coaster there, that's Hokugai. So yeah, that's two coasters that I want to experience at this park, so it's definitely got to be done at some point in the near future. Really got to get back to Japan. Now with this, believe it or not, it opened in the year 2000, and it was manufactured by D.H. Morgan Manufacturing. They went on to become a well-known manufacturer, Chance Morgan. Now with this, it's actually the longest roller coaster in the world, so it's definitely a big bucket list for me. I've been on the tallest, I've been on the fastest. Of course, that's King Dakar being the tallest, Formula Rossa being the fastest. I need to get on this at some point. But here we go. Yeah, this looks absolutely incredible. 2,478 meters of track, that's 8,133 feet. And along with that as well, it's 96 meters tall, that's 318 feet. Now, due to the length of the lift hill, it actually features two lift hill chains and lift hill motors, which is quite an interesting fact for you. That's why in photos, when you look at it, you can see another lift hill motor halfway up. It's actually got two right next to each other to transport it to the top. You got to think back in the year 2000 when this opened, you know, there wasn't a lift hill that tall, you know, and there's still not that much more than that now, you know, Fury 325. But, you know, it's like, it's something very different at the time for them. So they did this and put two lift hill motors on, which, as much as that won't affect the ride experience, I just find it pretty fascinating, to be honest. Quite like that. Now, along with that as well, the trains were actually replaced by B&M in 2013. Really different style trains that B&M did. Of course, with them going to this, it's rare that you'd see B&M actually do this. They don't normally go to all the rides and replace the trains, especially not there from different manufacturers. But no, they did the trains for this, and they're actually two across. Got the clamshell restraints on there, which looks interesting. Now, the ride itself, Steel Dragon 2000, reaches 95 miles an hour top speeds, goes through some tunnels as well, which are pretty iconic, like silver tunnels. This ride, I've seen a lot on coaster programs when I was a kid growing up. Again, in a lot of these roller coaster books that my parents used to buy me. So yeah, this is something that I really want to get on at some point. Can't believe that I didn't get to do it when we went to Japan in 2017, really, but time was just so tight with that trip, and you know, we just had to really prioritize stuff. But definitely next time we go back to Japan, we will be going to Nagashima, and I want to get on both of these two bucket list coasters that make it here into this top 10. Right then, so we're down to the final two, and in second place, it's Dodonpa, which is located at Fuji-Q Highland, also in Japan. Wow, Japan have really got to get back. Now, I've actually been to this park. I've been to Fuji-Q in 2017, but the year we decided to go and plan this trip, Dodonpa was actually closed for its refurbishments. Now, this ride originally opened in 2001. It's an S&S Thrust Air Coaster. Now, this looks absolutely incredible because it actually launches from 0 to 111 miles per hour in 1.8 seconds. Can you imagine that? Like, honestly, that speed is incredible. Like, one of the fastest accelerations out there. I really want to experience that and just how it feels. It's also the fastest coaster in the world that features an inversion. Now, let me go on to that. So in 2017, the ride was refurbished. It didn't feature an inversion, but what they actually did was take out the pretty much iconic top hat and replaced it with this big loop. Now, this is a 160-foot tall loop. That's 49 meters. Pretty big. However, I would have loved to have experienced it with that, that top hat that was in place before. I think you got some pretty awesome airtime on the top from looking at POVs and watching people's hair sort of raise up. Would love to experience it. They did take it out. I think it was causing a lot of wear and tear on the trains and maintenance issues. So instead of removing the whole ride, they decided to put in this loop instead. So as much as I don't think it would be quite as good as it once was, I still want to get on it and experience it for that acceleration. 111 miles an hour in 1.8 seconds. That is absolutely nuts, and really want to experience that at some point. There we go. 3 coasts in Japan. I've got to go back. So here we go. Time for my #1 bucket list coaster as of 2021. I think you can probably guess what it is by now, because I've been doing a lot of hype in this ride up in videos and of course on social media. This looks incredible, pretty much a near perfect ride for me, and this is the Velocicoaster, opening in 2021 at the Universal Orlando Resort in Florida in the USA. Now, we all, of course, all know that this is themed around Jurassic World. I absolutely love the Jurassic World films, one of my favourite ever films. I love it, like, it's fantastic. I love Jurassic Park, love Jurassic World. So this is going to be pretty incredible for me to get on. I'm looking forward to it. Along with that, this thing is very heavily themed. It's an Intamin double launch coaster. We know it's going to reach a top speed of 70 miles an hour. It's got 4 inversions packed in. It's got a 155-foot tall top hat, and it looks incredible. The inversion and the element that I'm looking forward to the most, I would say, is the zero-G stall. That looks incredible going up into that. I'm really looking forward to this. Intamin have been putting out some amazing rides in the past few years. Taron at Phantasialand, Tiger at Linnanmäki, so many other fantastic rides, but this has got the theme in. It's the complete package. It's got inversions, it's got theming, it's themed around one of my favorite ever movies. This is going to be one of my favorite rides in the world. I can just see it already. It looks incredible. Coming to Universal, we know it's going to be beautifully themed. In fact, it's nearly finished. This ride has been testing for a good couple of months now, and I can't wait to ride it. So there we go. That is in the top spot for me, the Velocicoaster coming to Islands of Adventure at the Universal Orlando Resort. There we go, we've made it, my top 10 bucket list coasters. Were you surprised by my list? Did you think it was pretty predictable? I would love to know. And also, what is your top 10 bucket list roller coasters? Let me know down below in the comments, because I really want to know. I find it really interesting. I love reading your comments on my top 10 best coasters from my favourites and seeing all your favourites and how it compared. I'd love to see the same with this. What are your bucket list coasters? So there we go. Thanks for joining me for another top 10 countdown here on Theme Park Worldwide. Many more to come, including daily videos. Of course, we upload every single day to Theme Park Worldwide. There's always something to keep you entertained. Of course, especially in the UK at the moment, we're back in a 3rd lockdown, so pushing out the content for you guys to enjoy, keep you entertained, and also in the loop on what's going on in the theme park industry. Do you like that? In the loop. Thanks for watching, and that leaves me with one final thing to say. Get out there and keep on riding. See you in the next video.